to day 11, the live recap of section one of the Boat and RV 100 series. I'm going to do my typical tap dance here and let people get notified and stop what they're doing and click the link and log on. But in the meantime, I will say thank you to a few of those. But I'm Joe Downs with the Storage Moguls, and I want to give a special welcome and thank you to those who have been with us since the very beginning of the Storage 100 series, which predates the Boat and RV 100 series. It started about 116 days ago. You heard that right. We did 106 days of self-storage, and then we rolled right into the Boat and RV 100 series. So again, special welcome to those of you powering through, putting in the work, whether you've been catching these in the mornings or on your breaks, or maybe you've replaced date night with storage night. I'm not sure I recommend that, but at least sneak a date night in there somewhere. Maybe you're watching them while you're laying in bed with your spouse. Either way, congrats. You're in the top 1% of people doing what it takes to achieve your goals, tend to your garden, and achieve your why, whatever that is for you. But also welcome to everyone who's just joined us and just began watching the Boat and RV 100 series. You didn't miss out on the Storage 100. You're just a little behind. You can always go back and watch the Storage 100 or you can join us at storagemoguls.ai, where you will also find all of these series, both the ones we've completed, the one we're in the middle of, and future series will live there as well. As soon as we launch in a few short weeks. All right, we are 10 episodes in, and today we close out section one, the Boat and RV landscape, and then we open it up for questions. And I do have a number of questions from those of you who emailed them in, so I appreciate that. We can get to them as well. Before we get into the recap, let me give you the practical picture of what storagemoguls.ai is, because I've also fielded those questions as well. Folks, it is a platform built around a specific segment of the market. Acquisitions between 400,000 and 2 million, 2 to 3 million. All storage, though. Self-storage to start. And then once you have that foundation, you will feel knowledgeable and empowered to go tackle other asset classes like boat and RV storage, which we're covering right now, or in the middle of, or in the beginning of. But also pro storage, or small bay flex, or industrial outdoor storage, and of course parking, including truck parking, which also has a major supply and demand imbalance. And that range, that 400,000 to $2 or $3 million range, that's where real deals live, where the frameworks are built, and where the community operates. In our community, you're not going to find theories from people who are self-proclaimed gurus but never done it, or stopped doing deals years ago, or never actually bought them as operators. We're a community made up of, and more importantly, led by current owner operators who do current deals and are getting current results. We are actually the education engine behind Scott Myers, the original self-storage educator. In short, we're real people in the market doing and teaching people how to do real deals in that 400 to $2 or $3 million range. And I say that, and I harp on that, because they're financeable and they're manageable. They're bite sizes you can bite off and chew, and the kind that a serious person with a W-2 can close. And we covered a lot of that in the Storage 100 series. You know, when I had Ann Mino on talking about SBA and how the SBA is our best friend in the area of this business that we operate in. And then in the community, we get real results. Our members are here building portfolios. They start with one, and then they start adding to them. They're not planning on it. They're actually building them. How do we know? Because we're not only teaching them, we're helping them find, analyze, underwrite, negotiate, due diligence, and close on them every day. That's what we do. Reminder, start for free. You can work your way up at your own pace. The community and the education is designed to grow with you at your pace. We literally are truly meeting you where you are. The tools in the community are there when you are ready to use them, and you can join for free. All right, enough about that. Let's get to section one, and let's lock in what you already know in a recap here. So during days 1 through 5, we walk through the demand case and the supply gap. The first day was the series opener where I introduced the fundamental thesis. You got 13 million registered boats and RVs already, 600,000 new units combined entering the market every year, year over year, and a supply of storage spaces that isn't keeping pace. We talked about that 20-to-1 demand to supply gap and how that's the number that anchors everything in this vertical. On day 2, we opened everyone's eyes to the demand tsunami and the 3 structural demand drivers: registration growth, the HOA proliferation, and post-COVID recreation surge that compound on each other. This isn't a cyclical trend. It's a structural shift. Day 3, we covered the tenant mindset shift. Boat and RV tenants are storing a vehicle. They're storing a lifestyle. That distinction changes how you serve them, how you retain them, and how you price them. The tenant who calls at 6 a.m. because they want their boat on the water by 7 is a different tenant than the self-storage customer who visits twice a year. Day 4, COVID's lasting effect we talked about, the pandemic, pushed millions of people into boats and RVs who had never owned them before. That cohort is now locked in. They own the vehicle. They need the storage, and they're not going back to apartment living. On day 5, I exposed you to some additional demand drivers like HOA bans. The single most important demand driver in suburban markets, a neighborhood with 30% or higher HOA density, means 30% of the homeowners in that area cannot store a boat or RV at home. They have no choice but to use commercial storage. That forced demand, the most reliable kind. Days 6 through 10, we covered the supply side, the market opportunity, and building your buy box. Day 6 was why REITs haven't arrived yet. The market is fragmented, relationship driven, and operating below the scale the institutional capital typically targets. That's why. The window is real, though, but it's measured in years, not decades. The operators who act now build into a market before the cap rate compression that follows after the institutional entry. Day 7, we went over the 6 facility types: open air gravel lot at one end and closed climate controlled at the other. Each has a different capital profile, a different tenant mix, and a different revenue ceiling. Knowing which type you're evaluating changes every assumption in your pro forma. Day 8, we talked about Class A, B, and C, and how Class is determined by your drive aisle width, amenity set, surface condition, and resulting tenant mix, not by the owner's opinion of their facility. Because a Class A facility commands Class A rents. A facility with 28-foot aisles and no amenities cannot charge Class A rents, regardless of what the seller says. Day 9, we talked about knowing your tenant. Boat tenants have different space size requirements than RV tenants. Mixed facilities serve both, but require wider aisles and more staging space. Revenue per unit economics change by tenant type. Know what you're buying and know who you're serving. And then on day 10, we talked about the buy box, the 5 criteria that define a qualifying market: supply gap, over 10-to-1 registration to spaces, HOA density over 30%, Class A potential in the existing or planned facility, a lender market with community bank presence, and an acquisition price in the $400 to $2 million range. Use all 5 before you commit to a market. And then there were the 6 numbers from Section 1 that should get you excited. These are the numbers you quote in dealer conversations, lender meetings, or a seller conversation to establish that you know what you're talking about. 13 million registered boats and RVs. That's the demand base, and it's not shrinking. It's growing by 600,000 plus units per year. The storage supply is not keeping pace. And remember what it didn't include: anything else you put on a trailer. We had the 20-to-1 national demand number to 20-to-1 demand to supply gap number is what a better way to say it. And that's your headline number. Use it carefully, though. It's a national figure. Your specific market could be tighter or looser than that. The county level calculation from your buy box analysis is what matters for any specific deal. With the 30% HOA density threshold, the buy box trigger for forced demand. Below 30%, there may be enough home storage to moderate demand. At 30% and above, a material portion of boat and RV owners have no home storage option. 10-to-1 minimum registrations to spaces. It's your market level DD filter. Pull the county registration data, estimate total storage spaces in the market, then divide. You get a below to 10-to-1 and the supply is catching up, but above 10-to-1 and the market is undersupplied. And then your 5 buy box criteria. All 5 must be satisfied before you commit time to a market. Now, missing one doesn't mean the market's wrong. It means you understand the risk you're taking on. All right. With that, the floor is open. Feel free to drop a question from any of the first 10 episodes. And if we need to wait for questions, I see 1 or 2 here. Oh, I don't see any. I just see hello. A good thing I got some questions ahead of time. Let me get to them right now, and I'll look for any live questions. I'll try to pay attention to both. Let me see some of the questions I got. Yeah, here's a good one. Joe, I've been watching since day one. I live in a suburb outside of Nashville. How do I know if my county actually has a big enough supply gap to be worth pursuing? All right. Well, we kind of just went over this a second ago, but we definitely went over it. I don't remember what day, but let's walk through it. So you have the 10-to-1 registration to spaces ratio to check out. You also want to check your to do that, you're checking your county DMV, right? How many registrations we have, and then we're going to look in the market, and we're going to use Google Maps and tools like that to. It's a little bit of rough math, a little bit algorithm. You got to roll up your sleeves, do a little bit of work here, but you can identify how many spaces are in your market, and then you're going to see if you have that 10-to-1 to supply ratio. But you're also going to walk through that buy box checklist, of which we want to know what's our HOA density. So it's a great question. I would encourage you to go back to, you're catching me on which day it actually was. Here, let's rewind a second if I can here, because I know I just said it a minute ago in the deck. Our buy box was, where did we do the buy box? And it looks like we kind of covered it through all the days. What was your name? Edward, go back. The videos aren't that long, Edward. I would go back and watch them. They're all important. And I don't want to just give you 1 or 2 answers. Go back and watch we kind of covered it all on every day. I wasn't sure if we did buy box one day. I think we might have done buy box one day. I want to say maybe day 6, but now I'm not seeing it here. I thought I could find it for you quickly. Or actually, maybe it was day 10. Yeah, day 10. There it is. Jeez, I went right past it. That's why I missed it. So day 10 has them all, but we kind of covered them every day. All right. So make sure you are, make sure you're watching them all, Edward, but in particular day 10, because that's going to be where you start. All right. We do have a question from Dallas. Let's see if I can get you up here in the, hang on here, Dallas. I'm working alone tonight, but I know I can get you on here. All right. Get your question up here. All right. When underwriting a boat and RV storage, how do you adjust NOI assumptions to account for seasonal usage patterns and tenant turnover variability? Great question. Definitely covered. If you recall, again, I'm not going to, I can't commit to memory the day. Actually, I think I cover it. I think that's coming up, Dallas. That is coming up. I did not cover it yet. That is coming up in the next section. You're getting ahead, but it's a great question. I'll give you a sneak peek answer. What we're going to do is we're going to map out month by month. We need 24 months. I like 36 months. You're going to find that these boat and RV operators, mom and pop, are not as, how shall we say it? Maybe not as organized. I don't want to deprecate too much. They're certainly very professional. They've built incredible businesses. A lot of times they're just, they started mom and pop and kept operating that way, so they not as organized, but you can usually get 2 years, try to get 3 years. You want it month to month. That's the key. So you have to literally underwrite your supply, your revenue, your occupancy, forget supply, your revenue, your occupancy, and your expenses on a month to month basis. But I do cover that coming up. Great question though. All right. And the reason for that, just while I'm looking at the next question here, is because your next, you will see the seasonal variability. And so you're going to see your occupancies fluctuate. And so your revenue might fluctuate. Depends on how you're running the facility too. A lot of people, you'll see the occupancies dip in the summer, but they're paying year round. And that's actually one of the better ways to manage your facility. But in a lot of cases, you can't do it that way. So you really need to underwrite the month to month, no matter what, as a fail-safe. Let me look at this one. Joe, I sent this in before live. And I own a self-storage facility already. Great for you. Congratulations. Does the boat and RV buy box work the same way, or is it completely different evaluation? Well, I'll say it this way. It's the same foundation, but different filters. So let's say drive aisles replace unit mix in terms of how we're looking at the facility, what type of, let's say, class of the facility. And then seasonal occupancy replaces that flat vacancy and growth number we're looking for. But hey, listen, like I said earlier in my opening, you really need to learn if you can learn self-storage, you have the foundation to go into any other storage vertical. You're 80-90% there. From there, there's just some nuances, and that's true of all of them. But the foundations you need, you will get in self-storage, and that's why Storage Moguls is starting with self-storage. We will be adding all the modules as we go. We will be teaching it. If that's how you want to level up, you're welcome to do that. There's going to be all kinds of tools and opportunities for you to do that, but start with self-storage. All right. What's another question here? I don't anymore. Yep. Be honest with us, Joe. I would never lie to you. What's the biggest mistake you see first-time boat and RV investors make? I actually just answered that inadvertently. It's applying self-storage benchmarks to a seasonal asset. So a lot of folks, and this is hurts you both ways. You might miss opportunities because you're misreading a pro forma, and you might underestimate something because you're misreading a pro forma. So misreading, like for instance, the summer occupancy as a problem, that might be very normal to see your occupancy. It is very normal to see the occupancy dip. The boats are on the water and the RVs are out in the road. That doesn't mean you have an occupancy problem. If you are empty in the winter or a lower, if you're 70% in the winter, we've got an occupancy problem, especially if we're in cold weather climates, right? So, and then the other thing I see them do is skipping the physical site evaluation before running the numbers. You need, whether you're there in person or you're using the tools you have available to you in Google, that is not something you can skip. And you need to be informed. In self-storage, we teach, you really need to know the market before you look at the deal, because the market itself it influences your assumptions, and they permeate the fact that the median household income, the supply index, the poverty, all of that permeates itself through your assumption, and it advises them, and it informs is the word I'm looking for here. It informs the assumptions that you're about to make. The physical aspects of a boat and RV facility also inform pro forma decisions and assumptions. So I see a lot of folks in both cases start with let's say it's a listed deal. They start with the offering memorandum, and they get in there and they make these basic assumptions and determinations, And then they go and try to fit that in either to the facility or the market if we're talking about boat and RV versus self-storage. And that's just and in boat and RV, you got the double layer, right? In both cases, the market matters. But in boat and RV, the physical aspect of the facility itself matters because it's a market within the market. And you'll see this as we go into the next section, but you know, the the turning radius into a facility will affect whether or not I can have fifth wheels or even the staging area to get in. And if I can't have it, if I've got a beautiful facility that's just right on the street and it's a 55 miles an hour and even 45, and there's no turning, there's no slow down lane, there's no I can't house a fifth wheel or large vehicles, and therefore that's going to affect my assumptions and my performa. So I see those mistakes all the time. We need to understand the market, and in boat and RV, we really need to understand the facility itself, and then we can start digging into the numbers. Let me go back to the live questions here. Let me throw up another one here. All right. What break-even occupancy percentage do you consider conservative enough to maintain stable DSCR through economic slowdowns? It's a great forward-looking question. I love it, but impossible for me to answer because every deal is going to be different. I think in one of the episodes I'm gonna cover an example, but whether it's 40% or 60% is really going to depend on the facility itself, the revenue, what's my going in, what's my debt. But I love where your head is, Dallas. It's a great question. Just unfortunately, that's very specific. All right, I keep hearing the window closing as institutional money comes in. Realistically, how long do we have? I mean, nobody knows. But I think the signals are clear. The cap rate compression's already started in the top markets. I think the deals that close in the next 24 to 36 months will look very different 5 years from now. That's not to say that that's the only window. Then there's the markets within the markets. Are we, class A, class B, class C? We see the same thing in self-storage. Size of facilities matters. But don't think that the REITs and institutional players aren't already looking. They're already, in some cases, managing facilities that have small sections of boat and RV already in them. So they're understanding. They're learning. They've got a big toe in the water. That's for sure. They're gathering intel and they're learning what works and what doesn't work. So it's coming. It's coming for sure, and that's a good thing. That's going to give us options. That's going to increase the value of our facilities if we own these boat and RV facilities. So, and I know we do at Belrose. Let's see, any new questions there? Nope. Let me just get a couple. There were some really good ones that were emailed in. I want to make sure I get them answered here. Joe, what's the first thing someone should do this week if they want to get started? Like literally the first action step. Well, a little self-serving, but I'd say go register at storagemoguls.ai first. Start watching the Storage 100 if you haven't already. If your question is specifically about how do we get started with boat and RVs, and you're ready to go, let's say you're the gentleman that already owns self-storage and you feel confident you're right there. Great. Let's start with your market. Let's understand what your market looks like. Get to your county's website, pull the boat and RV, the DMV website, pull the boat and RV registration data, and then count the storage spaces in your market. And we're going to find out right there. And then the next step is I want to know my HOA density. And then you can start looking at facilities. And then again, when you look at the facilities, you need to know which ones are, assuming you're looking to buy or looking to start to target them, which ones have the ability to be class A and which ones just never will, no matter what you do to them. You can have a class C plus facility, and there's nothing wrong with that. If, let's say, you're near a destination lake that can only have small boats, Well, great. You don't need to look and feel and act like a class A with the big drive aisles. You just need drive aisles appropriate for who you're storing. But then that also means you're going to be capped at certain rates for certain size of spaces or units, depending on what this facility is like. And then from there, sure, you can load up with amenities. It doesn't mean you can't push rates. It just means you're never going to be class A. You're going to be class C plus plus. In this case, that's a good thing. All right. I've been looking at a facility that the owner calls Class A, but the drive aisles are narrow. I should probably read all these questions before I answer all these questions because I feel like I'm answering them before I read them. Drive aisles are narrow from Google Maps. Should I even visit? I think I just answered that. Yeah, you should. And you can measure the drive aisles very, very accurately on Google Maps. There's a tool there. Right click on anything. It brings up a little drop down. It says measure distance. You just click point, point. You can, by the way, this is how we do it for self storage. You can measure 4 corners of a building, the rooftop, do it. But the easiest dimension is just building to building. Boom. It's going to tell you it in feet. If you close the thing off, if you go 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 points, it'll give you square footage. The calculation, you don't have to do it for you. You can do polygon. You can do whatever points you can make. It's a fantastic tool, and you can do all of this and get on the street view before you go visit. If it's in your market, you want to drive there. I'm a big fan of driving for dollars and going to meet people in person. 100% always do it. But if it's a little further away and you're doing your desktop review first, love it. Go do that, then go see it, then worry about P&Ls, folks. P&L is the last thing we worry about. I don't mean to discount them. I just mean I don't want to waste my time on a P&L unless I know what I'm looking at. And all of this other information, market and site specific information, informs my assumptions. So great question. Let's see. Joe, I don't have a ton of capital. It's okay. Is boat and RV storage realistic for someone who doesn't have a huge down payment sitting around? You betcha. SBA. And on top of that, guess what asset class is the most seller financed? Boat and RV facilities. So the two most powerful financing tools are extremely and most wonderfully applicable in this space. Seller financing, SBA. SBA, 10% down. Seller financing, I don't know. It depends on what you negotiate. I'm hearing people absolutely getting deals done at 100%, which, sounds great. Dot I's, cross T's, don't skip anything because the last thing you want is a 100% finance facility that isn't going anywhere and can't make money. So that just because you get 100%, the seller offering 100%, first, I might actually put my intent up first, but do not skip a beat on due diligence. You don't want to get trapped in something that's equally as bad. Definitely don't sign personally for the debt. But yeah, I mean, and in section 3 of the boat and RV, we'll cover the financing, all of these angles. We already did it in boat and RV 100, with storage 100. You can always go back and watch that. It's coming up in the boat and RV 100 as well. Another question: what's the number one from section? What's the one number from section 1 that you think most investors don't know? Excuse me, but absolutely should. That's got to be the 20 to 1 demand to supply gap nationally. Folks, there's average 600,000 new spaces, or 600,000 new vehicles being delivered to consumers, not dealerships, to consumers driving off the lots every year, and only 20 to 25,000 new parking spots for them. I don't know what else to say to that. Other than that's the national number. So you still need to verify what your local number looks like. The national number sets the context, but the local number is what's going to win the deal or make or break the deal. So the excitement should be there enough for you to go wonder, what does my local area look like, or any other area? And should I be looking at either buying or building these things? Hard to build. We'll cover that. They're hard to build. not because they're physically hard to build. They're hard to get approved. So cozy up to start making relationships now. Start cozying up to the owners of these things, and they're older. And now's the time. These businesses are going to change hands in the next 5 to 10 years. I got two more, I think. Joe? What's the difference between someone who joins StorageMoguls.ai and someone who just watches the YouTube series? All right, fair question. In the YouTube series, you're getting the knowledge. The platform is actually going to have the tools for you to act on it. So, if you register now, we are going to give you away for the Storage 100. One of the, it's a free GPT. It's a deal analyzer we built. It's not a be all end all. Don't buy a deal using it, but it sure is a quick go, no go. It's a time saver is what it is. And you'll learn a lot from it if you're new. So go register at storagemoguls.ai. If you're one of the first 500, the tool is yours for free. Also in the community, and it's not live yet. It's live in about 3 weeks, I think. So today is March 30th, mid-April to mid to late April at the latest. It'll be live with community of operators. So you got people in there. Here you get to email in or show up to a live and ask me questions, in a chat. On there, we've got, it looks like Facebook. You're posting your questions or what you're doing, whatever. People responding. It's maybe not. It's, I guess, more like a chat room on Substack or something. So there'd be topics with, somebody will post a topic or a question. You'll see question and answer responses, et cetera. So you got a community, and and again, we've got the frameworks. And then, are there opportunities to take your game to the next level in StorageMoguls.ai? There sure are, but that's up to you. That's when you're ready, if you want to, and at the scale that you want to. So it's just all right there for you. This is a great place to find awesome information. If it's helpful to you and that's it, great. If you find it, informative and you plan on doing nothing with it, but investing passively with someone else, great. Although you should still join our community, because even if you're a passive investor, there's a home there for you. I don't mention that much, but first of all, folks, I wouldn't be investing in anything passively that I didn't learn how to do, whether or not you want to actually do it yourself. That's well worth the education. Can't stress that enough. All right, I got one more here. Joe, I'll be honest. I've been learning for months, and I still haven't pulled the trigger on anything. What would you say to someone like me? I'll be kind. I understand. Look, but learning without acting that's just an expensive hesitation. The framework is in place. The market's real. I think I demonstrated that in Storage 100. I'm about to demonstrate it. I think I just did demonstrate it in Boat and RV 100 so far. The question is whether the cost of waiting is higher than the cost of moving. For most people who've done the work, they would argue it is. And I'll tell you this, and this is another back to the community. And actually, join our community if you haven't done anything, because there's an old saying, activity breeds success. You've all heard it, and I agree with it. Except the one problem most people have with that is the activity part. Doing it, starting, and maintaining. So what you'll get in our community is accountability. And I have a saying, I haven't trademarked it yet. I should. So it's here live for the public to see. It's mine. Nobody can take it. I'm going to pen the front end of activity breeds success with this. And this is so true. Accountability breeds activity, which breeds success. Join our community. You will be held accountable. And you're going to want to be held accountable. If you're watching these videos, if you're putting in this work, maybe all you do need is that little nudge. Maybe you just need someone who's got your back, but also has a little bit of a foot in the you-know-where, right? Not in a negative way, in a very positive, encouraging way. Because it's really all it is. Folks, we say this to our students that we teach all the time. And I stand on stage. I was just standing on stage in front of them last week in Florida. There's nothing special about me. If I can do this, you can do this. You just gotta, you just have to commit. You just have to start. Just start, get a cadence, and commit. And the cadence doesn't have to be my cadence. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different lifestyle, different commitments, different jobs, different hours they at work, and different free time to commit to whatever it is that they're doing to try to make their lives better or achieve their why. And that's true here. And you can't tell me you're watching these videos, but you're not interested in doing anything, because then I'm gonna kind of call bullshit on that. Like, well, why are you watching the videos? And if it's just to be entertained, I guess, okay, fine, be entertained. I don't think I'm that entertaining. But if you're trying to gain knowledge, so you can actually go do something, well, then join our community, and we'll help you. We'll help you grow together. We will turn you into a storage mogul, one way or the other. I promise. All right, that is all the questions I see. Let me give you a little sneak preview about what's coming up. Let's close this out a little bit first here, and then we'll give it a little sneak preview about what's coming up. So, all right, so folks, here's where we are. We're 10 episodes in. And just for a quick reminder, here's what Section 1 built for you so far. We covered the demand case, the 20-to-1 national gap, 13 million registered units, the structural HOA bans that are driving forced demand. By the way, those HOA bans aren't getting easier. They're going up. They're getting worse. I know. I'm on board of an HOA. And let me tell you something. People want more and more rules, not less. So now you have the numbers to have credible conversations with a dealer, a seller, a lender, and a potential investor about why this market exists and why the timing is real. And the asset, we covered the six facility types, 3 classes, drive aisle specifications, amenity standards. You can now walk a facility and classify it accurately, which changes every underwriting assumption. And you now have those tools. You know your market, the 5 buy box, or you know how to look at your market, the 5 buy box criteria to qualify, accounting before you spend real time on it, the supply gap, HOA density, Class A potential, lender market, the price range, all 5 before you go any further, right? You now have all of that. And Section 2 opens with day 12. That's where we go find the deal, ideally off market before a broker touches it, before anyone else even knows it's available. And that's where the real work starts. And I want to say something I just thought of. Boat and RV market is kind of where the storage market was 20 years ago. There weren't a ton of brokers out there 20 years ago in the self-storage world. If you talk to commercial real estate brokers, especially the ones that have been in the space, that was where the broker that wasn't the rock star was sent to go die. Like that was not the sexy desk to be on. And that's where boat and RV is now. There's very few brokers. So there's not a lot of people calling these. The opportunity to find off-market deals in this space is now. I would still caution and encourage you to get a self-storage education first, and then venture into boat and RV. But I love that you're here. I love that you're putting in the work. You can start with boat and RV. You don't have to start with self-storage, but kind of like, it's like putting your right foot before your left. I think the left one goes first, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. All right. Before we close out, I want to take 60 seconds on this because I get this question every week. Why should you join StorageMoguls? In fact, I just got it, right? Why should you join the StorageMoguls.ai for free, not the paid tiers, just the free community? Just join the free one first if you want. We got tools there. Why? Because I don't want anyone to think this is a bait and switch. There's no credit card when you join. We don't ask for it, and it's not even a 7 days for free, and then there's a free. Are there layers above that? There absolutely are. But first we get the tools, built the GPT, powered deal analyzers, pro forma frameworks, and market research tools. Are all the tools free? No, but there's tools there you can use for free. It's not placeholder content. It's a real thing, and it's sitting right there for you. So, second is community. People in the network are operators who are actively working deals in this vertical right now. And honestly, I'm banking on the fact that when you get in there and you start noodling around, you're going to want more. So, but I'm going to leave it up to you. It's totally up to you. You're not going to be forced to do anything. Um, Also, when you post a question about your market or about a rent roll, it doesn't look right, or you're going to get answers for real people. So, and everything from section one already there. Every framework we covered, last 10 days, every number, every concept, everything's organized, searchable, paired with tools, put it to work. So, you watch the videos, you should go use the platform. Makes the concepts even more actionable. And again, like I said, no credit card to start. It's not a trial period. You join, you get access. Use it, don't use it. I think most people, look, I know this because everyone that gets involved in this can't get enough. So there's plenty there for free. It's like, what's that commercial? Good luck eating one chip. Good luck staying for free. It's like AI. You can't get enough of it. You all start on AI for free. I think I'm on the max plan for everyone now. All right. Section 2 starts tomorrow, day 12, where the deals actually live. Off-market sourcing for boat and RV. The deals that never hit a listing. So please like this video if section 1 shifted how you look at the boat and RV market, the demand drivers, the supply gap, the window that's open right now. Also subscribe so you don't miss section 2 or these lives. That's the deal finding section, section 2, or the sourcing channels, how to cold call an owner who's never been approached, how to read a rent roll that most investors miss. Dallas, you asked a question about that. It's in section 2. Share this with someone who still thinks boat and RV storage is too niche. Do it for me. But do it for you. I say that at the end of these episodes, periodically, I want to remind you of something. If you're going to be in this space, you're going to want to have a team. And some of the team is going to be capital. And you're going to want the capital to know you've been doing this for a while. And the easiest way to do that is share these videos. Share them on Facebook, share them on YouTube, share them LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you're on Instagram, share them wherever you're on social, because it's telling your network you're putting in the work. And then what will shock you is 6 months from now, people will be like, oh, I saw this boat and RV, I saw this storage deal. Or a guy I was talking to was having. I told him I got a buddy who's in that space. And you'd be surprised how quickly I was the guru in my social networks on storage. This is 7 or 8 years. I was still learning. Now, I would argue I'm very experienced today, but I'm telling you, it starts very early. So share it. It's not just for me. I know it sounds self-serving, but I promise me, if you knew what I knew now, I would have been sharing that stuff earlier. All right, 10 episodes down, 60 more to go. We're doing 70 in the boat and RV. Whole thing's mapped out. It's going to be awesome. We're just getting started. Join these storage moguls if you know what's good for you. I'm kidding. So you can know the market, find the deal. If you've been watching this series and thinking about your first deal or your next one, storagemoguls.ai. It's the next logical step, and it's free to join. Go to storagemoguls.ai right now. Join the community for free. We will see you inside tomorrow. Section 2 opens. Day 12 is where the work gets real. See you tomorrow.